Hello and welcome to OzByDrone. I'm Greg, and he is definitely not John unless he's aged a lot.
Oh, hey. Hi. Hi, everybody.
He's on the nod. He's sleeping already in the chair.
Squirrel moment.
Okay, get the squirrel going. Yeah. G'day, Grumps. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, I guess. I was trying to get the social media stuff set up and all of that, because
everything's happening at the same time today. It is absolute insanity.
And I obviously did not answer. I had company at the house. My grandson came over to visit, got tied up with that. You finally called me. I kept looking to watch. I said, "Oh, he'll call me." And I never saw your message earlier about setting up the simulcast and all that. So
we're having a lot of fun today. We're having a lot of fun. I've also got a global fly-in today, and I'm busy trying to go and get that first person flying on the screen. And it's challenging. All of that's happening. We're not quite ready for it yet, so let's just stay with this for the moment. Let's in fact do the first news story so I can get myself better organized. By the way, John's going to be flying as well today, or at least he's trying at the moment, but he is very trying. He needs some help.
I'm getting there.
Some help. Yeah. Okay. Look, John's going to try and go flying where he is today, but I tell you what, so I can get our first flyer, Trevor, up on the screen in a moment. Let me go and play the first news story. And as always, OzByDrone news is brought to you by AirData UAV. Is your drone healthy? Now, that's not on the screen. I'm going to go and press that button again by doing that. Told you we're flying by the seat of our pants today. Let me try that again. Here we go. Got it. Is your drone healthy, or is it about to surprise you on your next flight? Don't wait to find out. Discover under the hood information and review the early signs of problems before you take off again. Use discount code OzByDrone20 to get a 20% discount. There is a link to their website in the description for the video. Our first story today is this one. Hanwha Group is seeking to purchase the entire stake of US air taxi startup Overair and buy into two other aerospace-related companies as it bets big on future mobility. According to industry sources on March 29, the South Korean company plans to increase its stake in Overair to 100% from the current 30% in a bid to enhance its competitiveness in the fast-growing urban air mobility business. Hanwha is also expected to purchase stakes in a US satellite firm and a Canadian drone and antenna company, said the sources with direct knowledge of the matter. Now let's have a look at the air taxi product that they're looking at, that they're purchasing. Now there was some music here that I've cut out, but hopefully we've kept the rest of it. Now this is obviously not real footage and it's simulated, but this is where they're going, and this is a rendering of the product that they've been designing.
So do they get in trouble for flying over traffic?
I guess so.
I mean, they must have special permits, because we're not allowed to fly over traffic with our drones.
I know, absolutely. So, you know, there's the famous Ken Heron line, would you fly it?
Yeah, I probably would, you know.
Yeah, you're old.
Worse than a helicopter.
That's right.
Okay.
And
now,
those things are not designed to fly, but they do. And I've been in a lot of helicopters and just love flying in them. So, yeah, I'd fly in one of these. Yeah.
Okay. So can I get you to do me a favor and have a conversation with John just for a minute while I try and get Trevor on the screen?
So, John, how are you doing?
I'm going great, thanks, Lloyd. You've flown in helicopters, I heard.
Yeah, when I was in the military, I jumped out of a few too. But
jumped out of a few. That's probably a good idea. You miss the landing, don't you, when you jump out? I mean, that's the only thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm outside today, and maybe you can hear that airplane in the distance. The Pratt and
Yep,
Whitney
I can. Yeah, yeah.
the Pratt and Whitney 985 Wasp Junior 9-cylinder radial, absolutely beautiful. We've got a seaplane base just up the road here, and it's fantastic. So
Cool.
they truck around all day. I hear those beautiful radial engines all day.
Yeah, those radial engines have a distinct sound. They really do.
I wonder if we'd ever have a radial engine in a drone one day. You know, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Probably
That
not.
would be cool. Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
probably
know,
not.
Doc Murdoch flew it.
I'm
Oh, here we
going
go.
to briefly interrupt. We've finally got Trevor ready to fly, or at least we've got a still shot from Trevor.
Well, that's cool. Still got that engine in the background, John.
Yeah, I can hear it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We can leave the engine sound while we're watching the drone footage.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah, you go.
unfortunately, Trevor is frozen there, so we'll come back to the studio just for a little while. Okay, while we're waiting for Trevor to get that happening, let me see. Did John's feed come in? Not yet.
I'm trying to connect. I managed to stream to Facebook okay, but it's not picking up the RNTP.
RTMP. I hope it's not. I hope it's not a Listexia problem.
Yeah, it might be. Hang on a second. I'll end that. Let's
Just
go.
gonna go check and see if he wrote. Yeah.
Yeah. It's RTMP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have. RTMP : //rtmp.dronebook.org/live/whatever.
Yeah, and make sure you don't have a space at the end, because I know someone did that once and it doesn't work too well. While you're having a look at that, let's get into the second story just for a moment. So I'll go over there and press that button and then that one. And this one's about Hong Kong. Seaplane in Hong Kong, that's the name of their company. They're going to not just use seaplanes, but they're going to introduce a trial operation of the first urban air mobility passenger line in Hong Kong by the end of this year, not next year or 2 years or 3 years out. They're getting into it now. Hong Kong will become one of the first cities in the world to introduce passenger drones and operate a seaplane route. Passenger drone flight service will connect central Kwun Tong Business District with Cheung Kwan O Newtown, it's called. Commuting time is greatly shortened from 5 to 8 minutes, and the one-way fare during non-peak hours is expected to be around 200 Hong Kong dollars. Along the way, you can get a bird's eye view of Hong Kong's extraordinary skyline. Let's have a look.
Wow.
Oh, did it just stop there? That was a very quick stop. I'm caught doing things again at the same time. I've got one other thing that I did forget to do earlier today. I got a message from one of our viewers, and it's something that I want to share with everyone here. Very recently, you would have heard of Rick Halber's passing. And we've got a photo that I'm just going to put up on the screen that was shared with me today. And I think this is something that I want the drone community to see. Rick is definitely soaring in the clouds now. This is the urn that was used by his family. And I think that's a really fitting tribute for Rick's way to, Just thought I'd share that with everyone. I forgot about that at the top of the show. We will remember you, Rick. So thank you for being part of our community for so long.
Yeah, he was, I've been telling people, somebody start out, what would Rick Halber do? So they've been using hashtag. That's not my sound effects.
Is that John or is that Trevor?
Yeah, look, I've just had a whole crazy bunch of birds come up to me right at that moment. They're minor birds, and they're looking at my aircraft going, hang on, what's this? What's going on? There's about 10 of them having I mean, put in your complaint, guys. I'm not even flying yet. What's going on? I'm not even turning the blades, and they haven't looked.
I actually had to look over and see if it was my sound effects board. I thought, I didn't bump it, did I?
Those birds are flying beyond visual line of sight, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Anyway.
I apologise to Rick. However, just at that moment, I will. I'll go to mute for a second. I'm still trying to get my stream to work, but you know what it's like when you're my age. Here we go.
Okay, next one we've got. This story over here is titled "A Truckee Tribute." Rockhampton-based business called Best Rated Transport. They knew that they wanted something big and spectacular as part of a Truckee Tribute. Also part of a marketing tool for their new freight booking service. Filming took 6 months to come up with the finished bird's eye celebration of Australia's hard-working truckies below, but it was well worth the wait. And it's an interesting story. I'm just going to click in to get more info because I remember the guy who actually filmed this himself was a truck driver. It was called The Drone Way, Ben Stamovich. Really, really good photographer. He goes and takes the aircraft with him everywhere he goes, and he gets to go and fly and take some footage of his truck exploration. Mel, eat your heart out. So some really nice footage. We won't play the whole thing. We'll leave that there, but encourage our viewers to go and have a look at that. The link for all of our videos is included in the description, as always. Please do go and click on those links and support those different channels in their creations there. The next one we've got.
Art said that noise coming, the birds, that was Rick Halber's eagle squawking.
Thanks for that, Art. Thanks, Art.
Rick would have laughed at that too. I'm telling you,
he would have laughed at that. He's talking to us in the afterlife.
Yeah, that's right. He's keeping us on our toes.
Okay. Look, crashes in the drone world is something we always want to avoid, and this one, I'm just going to work out why that's not there. Let me try that again. There we go. This one over here was almost a mid-air collision with another drone in one of the first flights of this creator with his DJI FPV aircraft. He didn't know it was even there. He was not aware of the other aircraft, the other drone, until he passed it. And this was posted on Reddit by Vaughn Photography.
Like, whoa.
There it goes.
Yeah.
So it's very quick and very hard to see. It wasn't there, and then it was. And this, I guess, this highlights the importance of a remote ID type system where you can detect and avoid through other signals in the air what aircraft are close to you. But there's an interesting question. The remote ID system, as it's proposed at the moment, has no requirements for detect and avoid. So what's the argument for broadcasting if there's no argument for listening and monitoring and actually alerting a pilot to another aircraft in the vicinity? Well, John, Greg, can I bring you up for a sec, John?
Yeah, sure. Look, we had a bit of a chat this week about this. And one of the problems with ADS-B, I mean, you've got AirSense now in the Mavic Air 2. You've got it in the FPV aircraft, got AirSense or the heavier Matrice does, and it works really, really well. So if it sets an ADS-B receiver, it senses a manned aircraft, it gives you up the screen. You've seen it, works very, very well. One of the problems is at the moment is that the general aviation world is saying we don't want to have to be mandated on ADS-B. We don't want to carry it. We want to fly freely without it. It's kind of crazy because there's two very distinct camps here. One group believes that, look, even if you're flying a hang glider, you should have a wrist GPS ADS-B. Why wouldn't you have it if you're in a hang glider? And some of the hang gliders that are flying, 6,000 and 7,000 feet up in thermals and glider pilots. I mean, anything that flies, if it's bigger than a box kite, it should have an ADS-B on it. And then we'd all have awareness of each other's in the sky. Now, they're saying that too many, if we had them on our drones, it would clog the system. But receiving is a no-brainer.
But it doesn't have to be ADS-B that you're transmitting on.
No.
Here's the thing. The existing remote ID system, by the way, this is Trevor, and it is coming in live from Trevor today. So we've got something from where he is. If you're broadcasting remote ID, should there be a requirement for you to also listen for remote ID?
Absolutely. But what they haven't done yet is they haven't worked out how to integrate, what manned aircraft, because face it, mostly in a UTM scenario, the thing to worry about is manned aircraft and how you're going to link the system together. Well, these days, a lot of many light aircraft, have either an iPad or a glass cockpit, which is easily able to accept and show remote ID signals from a drone in the area. Absolutely.
I get that, John. But here's where I'm thinking, right? So I reckon that all drone aircraft are going to be sooner or later mandated to do ADS-B in, and they will be responsible for detecting and avoiding the general aviation and commercial aviation.
Makes perfect sense.
You don't want to put that responsibility. The birds agree with me. This story is for the birds. You don't want to put that responsibility on the general aviation. They're flying the manned aircraft. They've got enough to contend with already, keeping people safe in the air.
Well,
do you agree?
Well, I do, but in the lower levels of the atmosphere, like if you're flying down below 1,000 feet, you've got all sorts of things that you can hit. There's a much greater chance that you're going to hit birds. I can remember flying coastal routes at low level and ag flying years ago, and whenever you were near fresh water, you would think, okay, here's where I'm going to see a higher concentration of birds, because birds will hang around. They're either drinking at the freshwater site, or seabirds can be anywhere, some different times of the year. All these hazards are part of it. And yes, below 500 feet, there's a likelihood in areas around, could be anywhere, could be unmanned aircraft. And so I don't think it's unreasonable to have a bit of responsibility and knowledge, for manned aircraft people to know what the risks are. When they're flying high, when you're above 2,000 or 3,000 feet, you're much less likely to run into an unmanned aerial vehicle. You shouldn't. They put it that way. If we're all flying 400 feet and below, it's simple. I just don't get why it's been made so complicated. And that manned aircraft was at 500 feet. So if it went 100 feet over the top, perfect. That's the way it's supposed to work. 100 feet separation.
I know. I get it. I agree. I just, back to this original crash shot or near-miss crash shot that we saw, drones need to, if they are broadcasting remote ID, be able to listen to it as well.
Yep, absolutely.
It's as simple as that. And no, I don't think any regulator anywhere in the world has actually mandated that yet.
They haven't. And you know what? The technology is there. We're using far greater technology in our aircraft than this requires. This is a no-brainer, really. I don't get it. But, there's a lot of the issues of, like in New South Wales, the problem is surveillance, privacy laws. You can't track a person or an object without their consent, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that goes out. If you're going to fly, you lose that privilege. That if you fly a manned aircraft, you lose it. You don't expect not to be tracked and followed if you're in a manned aircraft. And if you fly anything, you're flying in Crown land, you're flying in freedom of navigation airspace. And if you're going to do that, I think it's fair enough. If you're flying perhaps within a bubble over your own house, well and good, you may have some rights, but you don't in the greater airspace at all.
So what we're going to do now, we've still got Trevor flying in the background here. And again, I invite everybody who's watching today, if you've got an aircraft and you want to send us some video, the instructions are in the chat room. Everyone, they're pretty simple instructions unless you're John and he can't get it to work.
I can't get. I've been trying all morning. I can't get the dang thing to work. It worked last time. I came on. I can stream to Facebook. I can't stream to the your server.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that if I remember correctly, it was the smart controller that was the issue last time. Originally,
it works now.
It worked last time. It worked last time, but people before have told me that the smart controller has been harder to stream with. But we've got one more story before we bring our guest in, and let's quickly rip through it. We've spoken about this one before, the North Carolina board. I did it again. Let me get the titles up. Here we go. There we go. Flying has been banned. The North Carolina Board of Examiners for Surveyors has banned flying due to the fact that they're saying that these guys creating maps are against the surveying rules. Now, I'm going to click on the story because there was a whole heap more here that I wanted to share with you. And as we go down...
America is entering the age of the drone, with entrepreneurs dreaming up new, affordable ways to view the world that can help their customers power innovation. Drones are a booming business, with the U.S. fast approaching 1 million registered drones. Pretty soon, drones could be dropping off packages at your front door or inspecting your roof.
Get rid of that video.
A very old profession is using government power to ground innovative drone operators.
Yeah.
America is entering the age of the drone.
Let's go back to us in the studio. I'll encourage everyone to go and click on the link for this story in the description. This is the 5th story, and have a look at that video in your own time. But I want to talk about this one more. Michael Jones, he launched a drone photography business in North Carolina. 360 Virtual Drone Services is the name of his company. And he never said he was doing land surveying. He's never said that, but the maps were developed for property owners and developers' purposes, like determining ways to alter the land and evaluate the state of their property. He was using drone technology to take photos, and that's it, and present that information back to the landowner. He never said it was suitable for survey purposes, and we spoke about this last week.
Last week, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still going on, and there's more stories about this. He stopped using his drone to make maps, got legal representation on the 22nd of March. The Institute for Justice filed a lawsuit in the US District Court, arguing that the board's licensing program violates his First Amendment rights. So basically, at the end of the day, he says, I want to take a photograph and give it to someone. So here's my question. The Board of Surveyors, or the licensing board or whatever, is it mandatory for those people in the US, if they're going to be surveyors, to go and get a drone pilot's license? There's the opposite flip side of the coin. For him to do what he wants, he's either a drone pilot or a surveyor. He's not necessarily both, unless he is warranting himself to be both. John?
Well,
yeah, I look at the same thing. He's not guaranteeing. The thing about survey documents are they're either signed and licensed and regulated done by a surveyor for boundary surveys, or they're not. As I said, a quick fix here is to have an easy way on any type of photo or a disclaimer. It's a visualization or whatever. If it's used in a survey environment, I don't think he's outside boundaries of what he's doing at all. I think the surveyors have got to suck it up and get on with it, and start using the aircraft. I reckon that's what they need to do. They rather than having a whinge about what someone else is doing. It's one guy. I mean, obviously we do this work all the time, but as I said, we give the photos to surveyors to certify. So there's ways of doing it. I mean, a lot of guys are probably taking the surveys and putting it through Drone Deploy. What do you think, Lloyd? You got a comment on this?
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: the guy is a photographer, and he's doing a progressive line of pictures showing the progress of what they're doing, what they're going to do next. That's photography. He is a licensed Part 107 pilot. But this comes down to the fact that this is like a union thing. They want to get their grubby mitts on the money. Unions are, I'm sorry for all my union belonging friends, but they're a pain in the ass.
Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right on both counts.
Well, we're going to move on from that story at the moment because we've got a guest who's also had a problem with regulators. And in particular, telling him where he can and can't fly. And it's not consistent, in my opinion, with the law. So let's introduce Patrick from Head in the Clouds Photography. G'day, Patrick. How you doing? And we need to put the other audio shot up so we can hear him. There we go. Patrick,
hello, how's it going?
Gotcha. Good, good, good.
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. So just a quick introduction before we do anything else. So Patrick is from Head in the Clouds Photography. That's your business. How long have you been operating?
About 4 years now.
Okay. We seem to have a little bit of a lag on the
I've been
connection.
flying commercially for years.
Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of lag.
Okay. Look, I'll just, rather than have too much lag, I'll try and ask a few questions in one and let you respond to them. So you've been flying for a few years now. What type of business do you provide to your customers? What's the service you provide? And secondly, talk to me about what happened in terms of this this infraction or this fine.
So most of my business is real estate, just shooting aerial photography for realtors in the area to sell houses. That's basically mostly what I do. But I also do landscape photography and sell my stuff as wall canvases. As you can see behind me over here, that's a big wall canvas. Is something I typically would take. So what happened here? I live in a very remote part of Michigan. It's called the Upper Peninsula. We have some state parks. We have national parks. I kind of know what the deal is. Basically, the FAA has exclusive reign over the airspace. And we here in Michigan even actually have a set of laws called the Michigan UAS Act of 2016. It basically says government agencies aren't allowed to regulate aircraft because it basically goes back to the federal preemption of they control that airspace. So there's actually a law in the book for the state side that says, hey, you've got your 107 operator license. You're allowed to fly in Michigan commercially as long as you're doing it within FAA guidelines. This law also says local government is prohibited from making regulatory comments about drones and what they can do, who can own them, and this and that. So basically, that law just falls in line with that federal preemption. So the DNR is, for all purposes, I think they made some policies that.
Yeah, we're having
because they're kind of the front line of drone complaints. They probably had to do something. So they made all this legislation on this, what they call a land use order, and they can actually issue citations, for violations against this. But none of it's legal because it's all preempted by federal law. So I think it's almost they just put it out there. They do it. Maybe they even know they can't enforce it, but it's just to cut down on traffic.
Okay, so let's just go back. You were flying
above. What happened for me is I actually took off from.
Yeah, you were flying above a state park, but you took off from somewhere else that wasn't under their control. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's this state park is a plot of land, and directly across the street is what is considered federal forest land. It's not a park per se. It's just land that's maintained by a separate entity called the National Forest Service. We also have the National Park Service, which does national parks, but this is separate. It's just multi-use land. People harvest timber. You can go camping on it. It's just two different regulations. But basically, I went over to this federal land, just across the street, took my drone off. We're talking about 1,000 feet, from here to over this pool of water that I was taking a picture of. So I maintained line of sight. I wasn't over the 400 feet that we need to maintain with the FAA here. Mm-hmm. So I broke no law, no rules. And basically I took off from this federal airspace. And as soon as I did, I was in what's called Class G airspace, which is basically navigable airspace. As soon as my drone takes off, I'm in this airspace. I'm protected by federal. As long as I'm flying within federal parameters, you know, the DNR doesn't tell me where I can fly or how I can fly. They can only prevent me from flying from their property. But this Michigan law that we have also basically says that I can go to a state park and fly recreationally or commercially because I'm doing it following federal regulation.
So the argument is, at the end of the day, that they've got a regulation that says you're not allowed to control a remotely controllable aircraft from their land, but you weren't on their land anyway. Can I ask how much was the fine, just out of interest?
They haven't told me yet. He did say it will be between $50 and $500, but most of them wind up being about $100, $150. It's basically, he equated it to a traffic citation about the level of a seatbelt, not wearing a seatbelt, just a civil citation.
Okay. John, have you got any comments or questions? Just let me, because I know this is something we've got in Australia. Have you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I absolutely do. So the airspace, again, comes in under an international act called Freedom of Air Navigation. So let me ask this question. If you were, and sometimes they have filming laws, which are a little bit different again, but just let's talk about the flying to start with. If you'd rented a helicopter from a local airport and flown where you flew your drone, would you be paying a fine?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So if you were taking off from a nearby provincial airport, perhaps in a Boeing 737, and they flew over that land, do you think the airline would get a fine? There's a freedom of navigation. Where you take off from, where you put your feet on the ground and you launch from, is the issue. If you don't, and this is why if you take off from a legal place where you can take off, you can fly wherever the hell you like, provided, of course, your visual line of sight below 400 feet, the usual rules that we maintain. But the airspace is, they don't own. They can't fine you for that at all. And it's been a really big issue here in Australia as well, because if you know the law, of course you can easily take off outside the national park and fly over a national park. Not a problem. Well, they'll try and get you on line of sight, or they'll try and get you on one of those issues. But of course, you've got a strobe on your airplane. You can see it. My eyesight's just absolutely excellent. You ask Lloyd how good my eyesight. Man, I can see a kilometre. It's
you've got binoculars there.
Incredible. Well, even without my glasses, I can see a long way. So
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, look, coming back to the serious nature of the point, I wouldn't be paying that fine. Now, obviously, once it goes above that, perhaps a thing here, Patrick, would be simply to just look up that law, the Freedom of Navigation Act, which all 155 ICAO member countries go to, and see how it flies. I mean, I'd certainly ask the brains out there, someone to have a look at it. We've got a lawyer, Norton and White in Australia, who are aviation lawyers, and they it's great. They're really, really helpful to the drone industry, and have been very helpful in bringing that sort of stuff forward and letting us know how it all works. And you'll find a section of it in the Constitution in Australia, Section 9, Special Section 9 of the Australian Constitution. Talks about those property rights and what you don't really own more than 15 meters below the surface of the earth, or you don't own the air above the earth to a point where to a certain height. So that's what I know about it. So I wouldn't be paying the bucks, man. Not me.
Okay, I just saw a comment in the chat from Chris Hope saying that he's live. I'm just going to quickly check on that while we're here. Okay, we'll bring Chris in a few moments, but yeah, Trevor, so what's the next stage for you? Have they told you if they're going to have a hearing, or what's next?
They haven't scheduled one. This happened, it's been about 3 weeks now, and I was supposed to respond within 10 days to the court to dispute it or pay it. And of course, I disputed it
the next day. You can't, hang on, you can't pay it yet because you don't know how much it is. 4 or 5 times. You don't know how much it is yet.
Sure, I've called 4 or 5 times, but they have refused to schedule it so far. I think they're concerned that they don't know how to handle it. I don't think this comes up very often for the court. And it's a difference between, here's a court of a county, of a state, dealing with a civil citation from a branch of government. And it's just asking for a mess. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to go in there. The burden of the way this works in the United States, the burden of proof is on them. So they need to prove that A, I was in or at the state park. B, that I was violating this Michigan UAS Systems Act, which I wasn't. And then C, ultimately, that I was using this image in a commercial fashion, which is up for debate too, because it's just posted on a Facebook page. Head in the Clouds Photography is actually a fictional name. There's no actually legitimate business called Head in the Clouds Photography. There's a sole proprietor named Patrick Kuhnert that goes by that moniker, but just posting a picture on a Facebook page doesn't constitute commercial use either. So they have 3 things against them that they can't even prove. So it's just, they almost threw this citation out to see if they could get it to stick.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to. Just a quick comment for Chris. I'm seeing you are sending me a video stream, but it's got just a black picture at the moment. I got nothing there. Oh, here we go. It's coming. I'll start getting your picture looking good. So in the meantime, John and, was it Nathan? I've forgotten now. Patrick, John and Patrick. Any other last comments and questions for you?
I'll jump in quick and just say, Patrick, maybe you obviously have your flight data logs. If you've got a copy of those, and we can get a good look at from the DJI logs, your takeoff position, GPS, or have your paperwork in order, mate. I mean, sometimes when you throw them all the paperwork saying here's and then send them a copy of the federal legislation of operating UAS. Here we call it Part 101. It's only about 120 pages, and you just stack all up together, man, and throw it at them, and they'll choke on it. I'll absolutely choke on it, and that's the way to do it. And I mean, don't just hold your hands up, because have them read it. You know, they've got to sort it out, and it's one of those things that they'll probably let it fly. If they weren't a Part 107 driver, they might decide, well, this is a good message to send out to all the recreational drivers. We don't want you to do this. I would recommend to them quietly that they don't make an issue of your case at all, because you're within the law. And if they don't want people to fly over the parks, and most people think you can't, well, you know, they should leave it at that. But, you know, if they make a case, all they'll do is they'll show, and show everybody that you're within the law, and people, oh, I can do that, you know. And so they're not doing themselves any favor, believe me.
So, by all means, talk over the top of this as well.
Well, I think they're also scared a little bit too, because they understand.
There we go. We've got a foreshot. Go ahead. Sorry.
They understand that I have 26. They understand I have about 25,000 followers, so they're probably watching real close. Oh man, what happens if we get this guy, and then it's legal for him to fly, and he just tells all his followers, and man, everybody just descends on the state park to take drone shots, and it's legal, and there's nothing we can do about it.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing they can do about it. They just don't have it there yet. There's still a lot of problems, even with sensitive sites, you know, at the moment. And look, we don't want to promote any kind of problems within the drone industry. For me, I think flying over state national parks, when you do it properly and sensibly, is great. It promotes the park. You know, I mean, these guys they're getting tourism out of it. You know, I shoot parks and put up there, and people, oh, where's that? You know, that's so-and-so's national park, so-and-so. Fantastic. I mean, you're doing them a favour in some ways, particularly a professional photographer. What would you charge them if they wanted a promo video? You know, get their wallet out, I'd say. Well, and here you are with 25,000 followers showing them some beautiful scenery of the park.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus we pay state and federal taxes to maintain these parks. These parks belong, if it's whether it's a state park or a federal park, they belong to the people.
Yep.
Now, if they start shutting it down for every little thing, then just sell it, because they're obviously not going to use it for what, it's state or federal taxes that pay for these parks.
Yeah.
And they're infringing on a citizen's right to enjoy his state park. They'll let people go out and fly kites in the state park.
Yep.
And do they have the authority to stop them from flying kites? Maybe they need to bring that make a law about flying kites. Personally, I'd tell them to go fly a kite.
Yeah,
of course you would.
That's the right answer, Lloyd. I watched. I got to say, if you haven't seen it, there's a fantastic Ken Burns series on American national parks, and America was, of course, one of the countries that really led this idea of protecting parks and keeping parks for people, as you say, Lloyd. You pay the money to protect it and enjoy it. I think it's reasonable. And you know what? Most of the time, no one hears where you're flying. So you're not. It's not like flying at a beach or something where you could perceive to be perhaps a little bit more intrusive. A national park's not intrusive.
Well, question: do they allow boating at this park? Do they have a lake there that they allow boating at? Because I don't know how many parks.
It's actually it's a Michigan's largest freshwater spring, but no, they don't allow boating in here. But it's different because it's not public airspace. That's public waterway.
Yeah, but still, how many, if they talk about it being an annoyance problem, how many times have you gone to a state park somewhere and some little knobhead kid's running around, with his Ski-Doo out there just buzzing everything, just annoying. But yet they have a license to ride on that lake. They have a license. You have a license to fly in that airspace. Same thing, if they want to say, all right, you can't, they still don't have the authority because it's federal airspace, and that's the end of the conversation. They just don't, they may control the land, but a lot of these places, you'll find out that the states don't truly own they're not really in charge of it anyways. It belongs to the federal government under a federal park system. Like we have the Corps of Engineers. A lot of these lakes out there, a lot of these parks, they're state parks, but all the water is owned by the Corps of Engineers. Same with the airspace. When you go to a park that's a state park, and you like, I get a discount to go to a federal park. If it's a state park, I still got to pay the federal fee, even though I get half off. I pay full price for the electric, but half off for it's a state just trying to flex their muscles because they don't own the air. It's federally mandated. And, they let a lot of it, like I said, until they stop people from flying kites there, which actually they could get by with because they're standing on the property maybe and say, well, you can't fly a kite from this spot right here. Okay, I'll go outside and fly my kite over and take a picture. And they can't do anything about you then. But I think it's just a state overflexing their muscles. And you're right, they're probably going to have a heart attack if 20,000 droners show up there. You might recommend that they let this go quietly and just be quiet about it, because that's the best way. I'm an old fart and I'd do it a lot different, but younger, smarter heads probably say, yeah, okay, let's do it this way. But yeah, it's they cannot regulate the airspace in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, that's my 2 cents worth.
Just a quick side conversation. So we've got our two
Lloyd.
pilots over there. We've got Chris, who's flying on the right-hand side, and we've had Trevor flying on the left-hand side. So I think Chris is coming in for a landing. Trevor's just done so. It's been good to have those guys flying over there, and there we go. There's the wave from the big Chris, the big man himself.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing your flights. Where are they? Lloyd, do you know? Trevor's in South Australia. Chris, where does Chris live?
I think so,
Lloyd?
in Texas, God, I can't remember where. He's told me 100 times. He's probably flying at that's his property, I'm pretty sure, the farm that he owns out there. Farm, ranch, whatever you want to call it. If it's in Texas, it's too small to be a ranch, but it's still a family farm, I think, that he has.
We're getting echo back. I've just turned his microphone on in case he can tell us. Where are you again, Chris?
Out there. Farm, ranch, whatever you want to call it. If it's in Texas, Chris says farm, yeah. Ranch, but what town is it? Are you at, Chris? He just put farm in the chat. So
we're getting echo back. I've just turned his microphone on in case he can tell us. Where are you again, Chris?
I'm at the farm, Greg. I'm sorry, I had I turned you up so I could hear you a little bit. Yeah, I'm up here at the farm this evening. I got about
Hey, so
5
Greg,
minutes of
looking
battery
at the
left,
sunset
buddy.
there,
Appreciate you
we
letting me come
change
on, fly around a little bit.
daylight savings to our normal Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So
yeah, that's an important message.
An
important message. I'll just turn Chris off again so we don't get the echo back. We've got a time zone change in Australia by tomorrow. So for our viewers, we're going to go back to 11 o'clock local time, which makes the show start, I think, 6 o'clock US time. But I'm going to create the event heaps early so you guys can have a look at it. But let's check that out.
Because
during the week.
People in the States go to daylight saving now?
They've already done that. They've already done that. They've done their daylight saving change, and that's the reason we started at this time, so that we didn't clash with Ready, Set, Drone.
Ah, right. Yep. I was confused there for a minute.
Yeah, because after tomorrow, you guys will be at 8 o'clock Central Time, which is when I usually take my pre-bedtime nap. So I'll have to stay awake for the show.
Your grandpa
I try to get in. Yeah, I take an 8 o'clock nap, so I rest good.
So are we later next week? Are we later next week then?
You should be, yeah.
Okay. So that'd be 8 Central, and then when we do the global fly-in, we're going to do it first week of the month. We'll go early for that next time. Thank you for that, Sneeze.
Oh, look at that.
Got a nice bomb shot happening there.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, we're going to leave our guest now and say thank you very much for being with us, Patrick.
Thanks,
we
Pat.
wish you the best. Do us a favour. Keep us updated on progress with the court case, if there is a court case. And the first question I'd ask the DA is, I have a right to a speedy trial, don't I? When is that? And here's the law that John quoted before, the international treaties and conventions which our country signed up to. Give them copies of the entire document, then give them a few others in terms of the FAA law and say, make sure you read that before you schedule the case. Oh, by the way, I expect the case to be speedy. And see what happens.
Give them enough to choke on, I say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so Trevor, thanks very much for being with us. We're going to go and move on with some more news, and keep in touch. Love to hear the outcome.
Yeah, it was good seeing you on here, Patrick.
Did I say Trevor again?
Than's for having me.
You did.
I'm getting mixed up.
That's why
that's why you did it. I know. I'm sorry, Patrick. Yeah. My brain.
That's okay.
You have to forgive him. He's just a young guy.
No, look, I've got the brains in my hair. I had a haircut and the barber won, so that's the problem. They cut it all off.
That was it. Not that you had a lot to start with.
Oh, we nearly forgot something else. Hang on. There's one important thing we forgot, that is...
Oh, my God.
If I press that button and that button and then that button...
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stump the Yank.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for that game that we love, to go and have fun of our culture in Australia and at the same time see people in other parts of the world look really silly not knowing stuff that we think is common. It's time to play Stump the Yank. Okay, let's get that music down.
This is where I now I got to ask you, Patrick, do you know a lot of people in Australia or watch Australian TV? So
we got a big delay.
All right, okay, there we go.
Yeah,
we'll go out. All right, first off, what is the Aussie salute. Now, is it like the Aussie salute this way, or is it like this way, or is it like this? Which one of those three? The first one, the second one, or the third one? Which is the Aussie salute?
I'm going to say the third one, probably.
And the reason for that is what?
One. The
What's
reason
the reason
for that
why, Patrick?
is because
I want Patrick to answer. What's the reason?
It's just the first two. The first two seemed very official, and the third one was just kind of off on its own. This is basic multiple choice.
Yeah, yeah, and I gave you that because I usually do, but the reason is because, and I've seen Greg up here do it. They have so many flies that they have to wave them off, and it's just become known as the Aussie salute.
Yeah, you need a windscreen wiper in Australia. Keep it going.
Yeah. Okay, can you tell me what is a billabong?
What's a billabong?
What's a billabong? I'll
Is
give
it
you three choices.
Is it a
Go ahead.
Is it a
pipe?
Outlawed device that is owned by Bill?
An outlawed device owned by Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make Bill happy.
Is it a bill of sale for the said device?
Yeah.
Or is it a maybe a pond in a dry riverbed? I don't know. Making the stuff as I go. Billabong.
Sounds like a pond in a dry riverbed. If I had to guess.
See,
and you knew that only because of the silly answers.
yeah. I was going to make that first so that, because everybody goes for three, because I'm known to do that.
You gotta brush up on your multiple choice selection there, Lloyd.
Well, you jumped in with the illegal device. I said a pipe, a water pipe.
Oh, you're blaming it on me. Okay.
I am. Budgie smugglers. Do you know what budgie smugglers are? Are they, I don't know, people that smuggle birds out of Australia? Are they Speedos, or are they a small, short beer, Australian beer?
I'm going to go with number 2.
3 for 3. Well, yeah, they are Speedos.
Patrick, you're the winner, and Lloyd, you've got to go back to the beginning and
I've got
come
to
up
go
with
back.
some.
I got one for Lloyd.
Well,
okay, here we go.
So,
let's stump to Lloyd.
I just thought, it was really just to help you with your accent. See, sometimes when we're listening to it, it's a bit confusing for us. And although we've watched a lot of American television, so I'd like you to repeat these words for me. Here's to help you with an English accent, and this is a very posh English accent. Say the words after me: air,
hair,
and lair. And say them all together.
Go through them again. I've
already
forgot the first
that's all right.
Air,
lair. Yeah.
Hair, lair.
Oh, hello.
Oh, great. Stump the Lloyd. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
See, I get no respect here, Patrick, so don't feel bad. They treat us Yanks bad.
The Australian one is air and then gun.
Air gun.
Yeah. Together. So
air gun.
Air gun.
Air gun. Oh my God.
I'm just trying to help here. I know we better get back to the news, or we're never going to get finished.
Really.
We've only got 5 minutes left to get 5 stories in. Thanks for being with us, Patrick. It was wonderful. let's move on, and we're going to get to drifting on ice. So, our next story. Ice skating is obviously a popular winter pastime, but have you ever thought of doing it in your car, drifting, and recording it from a drone all at the same time? This clip was uploaded to YouTube via a user by the name of Moses, showing numerous cars drifting and drifting around Georgetown Lake. The drone video is almost surreal while watching the cars slide around on the ice. The tradition of ice racing on Georgetown Lake has been going on since 1977. Drivers are invited to take to the ice in their vehicles for a small registration fee. However, the type of vehicles that are allowed on the ice is restricted to either four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicles. So I guess, Mel, you can't take a big rig out on the ice.
I'm trying to think what kind of idiot would take their car out on the ice anyways.
Would you ride it, John? Would you do that?
No, look, I've got a problem with it. I mean, it's ice, so like underneath the ice is water. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah.
It's not solid ice, so there's water. So
It's water.
it could go through the ice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. There's some things wrong with it. I mean, it looks like fun. It was part of that, the thrill, Lloyd. When you do that, you always think in the back of your mind, I'm driving on ice, I could get wet any minute. That's obviously got to be the reason you do it, right?
Well, I guess you won't catch me doing it. The closest I've come to do anything like this is on because in Oklahoma we get ice storms, which means we get sheets of ice on the road, and parking lots are great for doing this in. And you don't have to worry about falling into the water. You can do it on a snowpacked.
Oh, yeah. And what about ice fishing? Don't you go out there and you drill a hole in the ice, right? And then
again, I don't ice fish because you can fall through. I have ice skated on ponds though, and I've come close a couple of times. Got to the edge that wasn't solid enough, and it's. But that's in the back of your mind, even when you're ice skating on a pond, is that you can fall through.
And what about ice truckers? Are they on a lake too? That's on a lake, isn't it? The trucks, or is that not on a lake? That's on a lake.
I think, There's no explaining the insanity.
Let's move on, gents, because we've got 3 minutes left to get through a couple of stories. I'm going to skip one, and we're going to go straight to the reindeer because Christmas is approaching. Well, maybe not. Drone footage filmed by Russian broadcaster RTR above the village of Lovozoro in Russia's hang on, I need to make this bigger. I need glasses when I read this one. In Lovozero in Russia's Murmansk region shows a herd of reindeer moving together like, I can't do the voice, like a swirling cyclone. According to experts, this dance is a form of protection. When faced with danger, herds of reindeer stampede in these spinning circles, making it nearly impossible for any predator to target a single animal. Most often, females and cubs can be seen concentrated in the center of the spiral. So there you go. Just some interesting drone footage that came into the feed this week. I thought I'd share that with you. And we've got one more footage. It's cool footage, absolutely. We've got one more quick one to end on tonight. And our last story today. This one's a bit of a turkey story. Tommy the turkey was spotted last week by Rob Malosh, who used his drone to capture video of it chasing cars in a suburban Windsor town.
He's been spotted around town before. I've seen him around town before. I've actually been stopped by him before. I happened to be in the air trying out some new things, and I could hear people honking out front of my house. So I flew my drone over the road, and there's Tommy the turkey. Sometimes he gets aggressive. He'll come at you. It just depends on what kind of mood he's in that day. And when they see the turkey in the road, it's like, there's Tommy the turkey. He's out there again, pecking at the cars, stopping everybody. He's like running his own ride program out there. He used to have a mate, and I think when he had his mate, he wasn't so aggressive with the cars, but nobody really knows what happened to the other one. It's like, now that the other one's not there, he's going after the cars, and I've been told and read online that it's because he sees his reflection in the car, so he's kind of looking for his mate, but they probably do need to do some kind of control with them because it's dangerous, and I'd hate to see him get hit because people have become attached to him for him being around for so long now.
Let's take a wild guess what happened to the mate.
Yeah, got ran over by a car. Or maybe it was like my grandma who got ran over by a reindeer.
Oh, there you go. Got run over by a reindeer.
Well, she was getting him in the cyclone of reindeer, but Tommy the turkey, that's a turkey of a story.
Yeah.
Nice footage.
That was...
yeah.
Turkeys are really stupid animals. They're the only... They'll actually drown themselves if when it's raining. They'll hold their head up and drink until they drowned. Yeah.
I like turkey, especially with cranberry sauce.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've reached the end of our stories.
Good thing, because I had a terrible story to tell.
Go on, Lloyd.
We were playing golf, Judy and I and my two sons, and we could hear the wild turkeys out there. Well, Judy, she tees off, or she's hitting over it's a bit of a rise there, and all of a sudden we hear her ball goes flying, and all of a sudden we hear it sound like it hit something, and then we hear it squawking, and here goes this turkey flying up into a tree. She actually hit the turkey with her golf ball. We didn't know it was there. He was not happy.
That was a bit of a balls up then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Boom, Tish.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the show when we need to disappear. But before we go, Lloyd, can you post the link to the Ready Set Drone channel in the chat for me? That would be appreciated. If everyone could go over there after we sign off and say hello from OzByDrone, that would be good. They've got their regular show on at this time starting now. I've got the few usual community service announcements at the end of the show that we do, starting with that one. If you want to send a video to us, send it to upload@gregkuhnert.com, or any news or anything else at all. If you want to follow us on social media, that's where you can do it. And finally, if you'd like to send a postcard or, in fact, anything, send it to 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales, 22224, Australia. That's all we've got time for. John, last words from you.
We had a lot of support for drone golf. So just keep an eye out for that one. We're gonna actually have a drone golf session, and I think we should do it live. Have a show. OzByDrone.
Are you gonna come up with a set of rules about regulations about the nature and style of the dropper?
Well, I want to put that out there to the Brain Trust OzByDrone crew and take some suggestions. We've had a few suggestions. I get suggestions all the time. Some of them I can't repeat, but the drone golf ones. We're going to work out how we can do a dropper. Easy. There's a lot of bait droppers available. So we'll work it out. And it'll just be a fun day. So stay tuned for that one. Christmas time.
Sounds like a plan. And Lloyd?
Yep.
Drone golf. Well, I'm still considering getting an FPV drone here in the near future. So, that's what, maybe you'll see some of that on my channel.
Do it, Lloyd. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking seriously about it, but we had a great guest today. Remember what I say, be kind, treat each other better than you would treat yourselves. Remember, we're all in this together. We all matter.
Okay. It's been fun. Thanks for being with us and sharing the OzByDrone day today. We'll see you next time. Don't forget, time zone change in Australia. And just look out for the event in your YouTube browser. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.
See ya.